Hi, and welcome to the weekly predictions based on astrology for the week of May 3rd, 2021. In terms of the stock market direction, and by that I mean Dow Jones and Nasdaq, I think Monday is going to be a down day, and the rest of the week, Tuesday through Friday, I think have a greater probability of the market going up. And the reason for the prediction for Monday being down, I think it's because there may be increased concerns about areas related to IT, high-tech, telecoms, and aerospace. So perhaps some news about lower earnings, problems with leadership, or some increased governmental restrictions. There may also be some disagreements or conflicts in those areas related to again, concerns about excessive financial regulations or some limitations that may be imposed by governmental authorities. The period from about May 1st through May 4th is significant for the US, and especially the 2nd, which I guess that was Sunday, but this will still be in effect through the 4th. And for the US, there may be increased news about international relations, legal agreements, so any sort of tariff, perhaps news or import-export news, as well as general news about lawsuits, judges, and also things like immigration, higher education, and long-distance transportation and communication, or shipments rather. And in those areas, there may be some announcements about either new long-term projects. By long-term, I mean 2.5 years, or some new vision in sort of which direction these areas may go. And that again, say communication, not communication, but rather long-distance transportation, shipments, or immigration. So perhaps we may hear about some laws or some new legal changes that again may either expire after 2.5 years, or the vision kind of to implement them will be 2.5 years. And these initiatives may at this time come up either really quickly, or the sort of the push to implement them will be strong. And again, there may be some sense of urgency about those. At the same time, there may be also pushback against those initiatives or projects, because again, they may be seen as proceeding too fast or being risky or dangerous in some way. And unfortunately also individuals related to those same areas, so maybe again, say judges or lawyers or professors or diplomats, for the US, we'll see somewhat of an increased probability of either being criticized, or the worst case of an attacked, or basically experiencing some risky or dangerous situations. For China, period of April 30th through May 3rd is significant, where there may be increased volatility in the stock market and or news related to things like sports, casinos, entertainment. So things that are kind of also can be seen risky or dangerous in terms of one can obviously lose money in the casino or on the stock market, but also it could be related to like extreme sports, some sort of space exploration, but again, some element of either risk or danger associated with it, or even some high-tech weapons, military planes, and there may be some announcements that are coming out really fast, in fast succession, or things that are unfolding really quickly, or perhaps there are some new projects announced that again will have very quick sort of short timeline for implementation and will be very ambitious, and again things will be pushed to develop and unfold very quickly. So for Tuesday globally, like I said, the market I think will go up, and generally we may hear increased news about projects, leaders, or deals related to shipping routes, communication and transportation projects. And those industries may experience some, again, increased focus, and perhaps there'll be announcements about some new projects or new leaders in those areas. And then generally speaking, for about the next let's say, month or so from about May 4th through 29th, there may be increase of movement related to either shipping or traveling. So basically those industries should overall fare well, and not necessarily in terms of receiving a lot of like increased profits, but rather if there were some delays in shipments or things were sitting on the shelf, now things will kind of move faster. Like there will be improved conditions for traveling, shipping things, or even retail sales. All of those areas will experience kind of a greater sort of movement and dynamics. At the same time, even though through about the 29th things will be going reasonably well, there will be two time periods, so about around May 21st and then 26th and 27th, when there may be some hiccups or some delays or some kind of pullbacks or concerns. But all in all, between the 4th and 29th, communication and transportation businesses should do fairly well, as well as retail sales, I suppose. Then again, after that, about around the May 30th, things may either stall, slow down, or there may be some sort of a revision where perhaps if there's a pending deal, again, related to communication, transportation industry, then at that time, around the 30th, there may be a pause, kind of or some breaks put on some project being implemented because more information is needed, or like I said, the deal or some details of an agreement need to be revised, or if there was this construction going on of some, I don't know, shipping route or something, then again, around the 30th, things may be put on pause or revised, or basically not permanently banned, but there will be some sort of a pause, again, revision, more information may be requested. And so from about May 30th through about June 22nd, and especially early June, so from the 2nd to 14th or so, there may be this period where these negotiations or shipments may slow down. There'll be some kind of a slow going. However, when finally this new information is provided or things are kind of finalized, things may restart and speed back up starting from around June 23rd. And at that same time, June 23rd and 24th may also see increased news about some financial policies. So that may affect like rates, investments, taxes, real estate. And I'm not sure if those two necessarily are related, meaning if, some financial policies affect this kind of restart, restart of a deal, restart of a project related to communication, transportation, or these just kind of happen to coincide at the same time. But basically the June 23rd, 24th will be this dynamic time where things that were going slowly, like retail sales or communication, transportation projects, will now kind of spring back up. And also there will be some announcements related to like currencies, financial policies, rates, and things like that. So that's just kind of a preview for the next few, months there. But then going back to this week, May 5th through 6th, may see positive news related to finance and earnings. So perhaps the revenues may be up, and specifically from like taxes, fees, rates, tariffs, things like that. And also the banks may be seen as doing better than they have been in the previous months. For May 6th, there may also be increased news, either positive or neutral, just more like there's a development, things are kind of moving forward, related to oil, gas, chemicals, beverages, pharmaceuticals, also drugs, and also religion, music, things like that. So all of those Neptunian areas. And there we may just hear, like I said, either just some neutral news like the project had started or the project had completed and the new goals are set now for the next month. Or it could be something positive where, again, something was completed and now there's a new product that's available in those areas. Maybe a new beverage is introduced, or new medicine of some sort is now released and available to the public. On the 7th, Friday, I think it would be probably Friday may see the strongest move in the stock market, I think, this week. And I think, again, I give it about 55% chance, so not necessarily a huge positive influence, but I think it will be more likely to be an up day than down day. But regardless of the direction, I think Friday may see stronger kind of market moves and more sort of significant news coming out. And that could be because there may be some hype or some exaggerated optimism or some expectations that maybe a deal or acquisition is coming up. It's right around the corner, and the expectation may be that it will be like a massive deal, that a lot of money will be spent, and because of that hype and optimism about some upcoming event or deal is when what I think might be the reason for market going up. So perhaps the actual deal and announcement may come slightly later, next days after that, and it may actually not be as large, I guess, of a situation, or it may not involve as much money quite as maybe anticipated on Friday. But it could be something along the lines of like one large company acquiring another, or some large expense bill is passed. But again, I think Friday may be up more so on a hype about the expectation of it than on the actual news. And because of particular transit that we have right now, the asset that may be acquired, like I said, one company acquires another, or a large bill is passed, whatever the asset that's acquired, or the money that's, something that's money being spent on, like, I don't know, somebody's buying a luxury bag, for example. The money may be either the expectation may be sort of excessive, and the actual final deal will be for a smaller amount than expected, or it could be that the asset is ultimately not worth what is being paid for it, or that the money may be kind of wasted. It's basically wasted money. Things are expected that are greater than perhaps what they're worth. So in terms of the glance ahead for the upcoming few weeks, for me in particular, and I posted those already on Sunday on my blog at lsunka.com. There were some new glance ahead predictions that are worth mentioning here. So May 13th through 20th, and especially 15th through 17th, may see increased focus on like prominent individuals, leaders, celebrities, could be also actors, politicians, etc. And also the country's U.S. Position in the world, on the world arena as a leader. And the news may involve some decisive moves, expedited processing, or taking a strong, assertive approach to kind of make something happen and move forward with some agenda kind of sooner rather than later. And that could be related to things like taxes, tariffs, rates, as well as issues related to international relations, immigration, and long-distance shipment and transportation. And so these strong moves or strong decisions or strong sort of assertive stance on those issues may bring criticism of the leaders that may be supporting or pushing for it. And those concerns could be, the pushback may be due to some concerns about, again, things proceeding too fast, or perhaps undermining the country's, leadership status on the world arena, or undermining potential earnings, or that they may affect U.S. dollar value or reduce bank stability. So whatever that push for, I think things will go through. However, it may not be like uniformly supported. There probably will be a pushback. So coincidentally, or not coincidentally, because of some, I guess, similarities in terms of planetary positions between horoscopes U.S. and China, for China, May 13th through 18th, and especially also 15th through 17th, also significant dates, and also may see focus on things like taxes, tariffs, rates, currencies, banks, and earnings. So finance, basically. And there too may be some concerns or disagreements about financial policies. So there may be some announcements about what might be seen as risky moves that are aimed at ensuring that China's profits remain as they are, or improving profits. to make sure, I guess, that their currency value is at whatever level that they want it to be. So some risky or some fast, I guess, aggressive kind of moves may occur, again, to support the value of currency and to make sure that, again, profits are continuing to come in. And at that time, things may proceed fast, those kind of either changes in financial policies or whatever the adjustments that are needed to support currency value. And it may be also done as a reaction to perhaps, events in the US or with some other partners, and something that is done in an effort to balance some situation. There may be basically perception, again, sort of from the perspective of China, that perhaps there's some financial flow that's out of balance, or some financial agreement is not quite, I guess, fair or balanced. And so there may be this fast action to basically counteract that, to restore that balance. And also at the same time, so we're talking 13th through 18th of May, there may be increased news out of China related to oil, gas, navy, pharmaceuticals, and the news may involve things like some accidents, conflicts, even attacks, or some shady deals, bad weather, losses, and deception. So things are foggy or unclear, and again, this could be just due to, say, bad weather or just confusion, or it could be on purpose. Also for China, May 19th through 21st seems to be an important time where there may be an important announcement about some new goals or vision related to, yet again, finance, so specifically banks, currency, and earnings. And again, there may be some aggressive moves to adjust something that's seen as out of balance. However, the public opinion on whether this is a good or bad thing, or sort of how well it's implemented, may be divided. So it will not be like this clear-cut move that everybody would approve or everybody would disapprove of. So some sort of a divisive, somewhat risky and fast adjustment. Globally, then looking into early June, I mentioned that before in previous, so I'm gonna quickly go through this. Early June, especially 1st or 6th, may see increased probability of earthquakes, just major accidents, problems with underground storage. So things along the lines of things collapsing, like a mine, things collapse, underground storage, things collapse, or an earthquake, and again, things are shaken up like that. Or there may also be concerns about like the price of oil or transportation of oil and gas. So basically a lot of this things that are, being derived from the ground, either mining or through, excavating something. And at that time, either there are concerns about some pollution, some shakeups, an accident, and things like that. The events may actually begin as early as even at the end of May, so May 29th through June 6th. And at the same time, again, there may be just some either accidents, could be even industrial scale accidents or earthquakes, or some sort of like bad weather events that lead to some sort of either spill, like say oil spills because of like a shakeup or some gas leak, and that underground that explodes, something along those lines. So slightly kind of a dangerous time. But even I would say worse of a time that's coming up would be end of June, so from the about 29th of June through about July 9th, and especially July 1st through 6th. And at that time we'll have the T-square between Mars, Saturn, and Uranus, and similar transits in the past coincided with really large explosions, like improperly stored firework exploding, or something like a really turbulent weather, like lightning, tornadoes, something that's occurring suddenly. Maybe there's a building under construction and suddenly there's this tornado and things just completely blown to pieces, and things that come and go, and there's this sudden unfortunate event like a rocket is being launched and the test is unsuccessful, or even air travel is affected. Again, this could be an accident involving airplanes, or it could be bad weather involving high winds, major storms, even volcanic activity, and that leads to flight delays. At the same time, for the markets, there may be some upsetting news about excessive or what's seen as excessive governmental regulations, excessive volatility, especially related to like banks, financial institutions, currencies, and cryptocurrencies. And things may get really crazy in a short period of time, and it could even result in trading being halted because of some stop, marks being basically blown through. So it could be, some asset, just what we had, I guess, similar to, GameStop, when things are going through the roof and things then suddenly have to be abruptly stopped because, again, things are just not behaving normally. So that's late June through early July. And beyond that, let's see, July, that's just new things that I've added last Sunday. So that's why I'm mentioning them here. So July 27th through 30th may also be significant time where there may be greater than usual stock market moves, and especially July 28th and 29th. And the direction, I think, probably will be up. But regardless, again, of the direction, it may be a really volatile times for the markets where investors go overboard. So whatever the news may be, there may be too much hype about it. Things that may not necessarily react to an actual event, but some expectations. It could be some legal changes that are potentially seen as, coming up, or some news about long distance shipment and transportation, and those may, or even international relations, there may be either some tension or perhaps some either, issues with transportation, but it could also be, law that allows for things to kind of happen, again, legally, such as being able to, immigrate or transport certain goods, or some negotiations that relate to some taxes or tariffs will be concluded, and that may result in this large market move. And likely and not likely, likely there will be, like I said, major market moves in late July. So I'll stop there in terms of the predictions at the glance, and then to just cover specifically gold and silver, and then oil. For gold and silver, I think periods of upcoming August and December will see significant announcements, and for August around August 9th, and for December around the 15th of December. And I think overall, so for long-term trajectory between now and December 15th for gold and silver will be up. Again, there may be some fluctuations in between, especially, like I said, in August. But overall, I think by the end of the year, mid-December, the trajectory is up. For oil, sometime around starting May 13th through basically overall early May 10th or so of the 2022, we will have basically Jupiter in Pisces, and that will correspond or should correspond from astrological perspective with oil and gas prices going up. Now there will be a period of time from July 28th through December 28th also where actually Jupiter will go back into Aquarius, so it will be hanging out in the lower, I guess, degrees of Aquarius. So I guess the two periods to focus on immediately would be May 13th through July 27th, where Jupiter will be in Pisces, and it will go back into Pisces at the end of the year from December 29th, and it will stay there through May 10th of 2022. So those are the periods where, again, we may expect increase in the news about oil and gas prices, as well as also, of course, other Neptunian, because Neptune rules Pisces subjects, or maybe also pharmaceuticals, gas, anything like that, but specifically oil and gas. And unfortunately also those same time periods may see increased news about excessive precipitation, some problems related to water erosion, flooding, and also expansion in activities and news related to anything, related to water, liquids. So it could be Navy, ships, fishing, chemicals, drugs, medicines, things of that nature. And Jupiter usually brings expansion in those areas. On the one hand, there could be maybe a new source of oil found, for example, or some developments that allows perhaps expansion of the number of useful medicines available to the public, but at the same time, again, it may make things kind of expand beyond borders, which means maybe water flows through various barriers and spills over, or there's, like I said, flooding, especially next April. Let's see. So let's skip some of these. And there's some ongoing, of course, background influences that I mentioned again previously. So really quickly, we have this Saturn and Uranus square, which will be with us through about November of next year. So just general tense background influence where there's some major clashes in terms of ideologies who are basically favoring things of like Uranian types, which would be like freedom, making things happen fast, kind of equality, and sort of favoring things that are maybe different and unique, like space exploration, but also doing things maybe with somewhat disregard for safety measures, just because, again, things need to happen fast and technology just needs to be developed, sort of like a startup kind of, I guess, thinking. And Saturn, of course, would be more of this large corporation, government, things are moving slowly, but at the same time, Saturn also encourages, or ensures rather, I don't even know, or prefers that things are triple, quadruple checked, because again, there's a lot of progress actually is made with Saturn. Things may be evolving slowly, but once they're checked and secured, things actually then also stand the test of time. Like a bridge, may take a while to build, but then also the bridge stands around for, many, many years. But at the same time, right now, these planets are not aligned very in the harmonious way to each other. So these energies are not working together. It's more like tag, where one is winning one time, another energy is winning another time. So it's either one way or the other way. There is no like this compromise, or at least it's hard to achieve. And like I said, when Mars gets into the mixture, like what we'll have happening end of June through early July, there will be sort of things that from just ideological clashes can result in actual clashes, meaning riots, protests, just explosions, because again, things just can't really be resolved peacefully and things just start exploding, either literally or, figuratively speaking. Let's see, and for the US, the period from about March 1st, 2021 through about February of 2022 is this period where there may be some confusion or some uncertainty related to things like military weapons and specifically Navy, or agreements with international partners, and again specifically focus on military, and within that specifically focus on Navy. So there could be either some confusion where there may be an increased number of maritime accidents, there's fog and ships collide, or it's unclear, like a ship is coming and you're not sure what exactly their intentions are, and there may be unfortunately some accidents related to that, because again, just simply because of the confusion without any intentional bad intentions. But also there is increased probability of things like oil spills, leaks of some polluting material, or also of attacks through unseen means, being like submarines or biomedical warfare, or just hacking, spying. So things that are kind of hard to pinpoint where the threat is coming from. So that's sort of this tense period will continue through about end of February of next year for the US. Let's see. And generally speaking, from about April of 2021 through March of 2022, yet again, there's this important period for the US where there may be some major changes for its oil, gas industries, and also anything to do with chemicals, pharmaceuticals. Again, all those Neptunian areas will undergo fairly major transformation, and either there'll be just a lot of news. Of course, there's news about this pipeline project being canceled, but there will be just some really like major kind of rethinking of how those industries should proceed. But also increased news about related like products. So again, chemicals, increased concerns about pollution, increased concerns about flooding, water erosion, or perhaps, if there's flood, of course, there's soil contamination in the farms and things like that. So unfortunately, this will be this background influence for the US from April of this year through, let's say, March of next year, that these things will be kind of in the background, unfolding slowly, and not necessarily the most favorable time for those areas. So that's about it. I also made some other predictions, a little bit going into further, even into the future. I would say from about 22 to 25, 2022 to 2025, and you can watch my video for last week for that. Or you can check me out at my blog at lasunka.com, where I post some weekly blogs as well as some other kind of predictions when I have the time. And I hope you are having a fantastic week, and come back and watch these videos in the future. Until then, I'll see you guys later. Have a great one. Bye.